It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. Well, welcome everyone. You know that Sharon loves to go around the world because she likes to wander. And today she's going to tell us all about her recent adventures in Alaska. Oh, I'm so excited about this. She went on a northbound cruise with Holland America and she saw glaciers. She saw wildlife. She went to different communities. And I'm a little jealous because this has always been my bucket list. So I'm so excited to hear more. She's got an article all about it. You can see that link in the episode notes or just go to nationalparktraveling.com. You'll see Sharon in our expert section or just type in Sharon, Alaska. So welcome back, Sharon. How are you doing?
Thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited to hear about this. So have you been to Alaska before?
Yes.
I knew it.
I went to Alaska 10 years ago on the Holland America cruise, but it wasn't this particular one. And the whole reason why, my brother lived on Sitka and the cruise stopped in Sitka for one day, only like for 6 hours. And that's the whole reason why I went all by myself, because I hadn't seen my brother in 3 years. So
yeah.
Anyway, that
he's
was
in Alaska.
Yeah, why not come to Alaska, see your family?
Did you get to see him on this cruise?
No, he doesn't live there any longer. And this one was different. It did not go to Sitka this time. This was the Glacier cruise, which starts in Vancouver and ends in Whittier. And it takes in the intercoastal waterways with the communities of Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. But it also has the added bonus of going to see glaciers. And they were fabulous.
So you went to Glacier National Park through this?
Yes.
Super cool. We're a little jealous.
One whole day. The amazing thing about we went with Holland America, and I can't say enough nice things about this cruise line. They on their ship across the bow, it says bigger than "We love Alaska," and they do. And they have like special perks. So they're one of the only two, I think, cruise lines that are allowed to go into Glacier Bay and the College Fjords. We had the morning in Glacier Bay and we woke up in the middle of the bay and we spent like 3/4 of the day in this marvelous place. It was amazing.
Wow. So getting to Glacier National Park, it's easiest if you do it by cruise, right?
Yes. I don't know. I've also been to Alaska a third time. This is when I led a land tour with a women's travel group I brought to Alaska right after COVID. And we toured the intercoastal waterway, but by land and by train. So I don't know if you can get to the glaciers by land. It might be difficult, or else you have to fly in and land on the glacier.
Okay, so this is the cruising part. The wildlife thing, we're all about that. I know listeners, especially our park people, want to know, how is that? I mean, in cruising, are you being able to see wildlife, or is it easier when you get off the boat?
It's easier when you get off the boat. Like we had 3 port days in Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. And I went on a press trip, a small group of journalists, but my husband, he was my +1. He got to come with me. And so one of the other writers, when we went to Ketchikan, we took the port excursion where we took like these Zodiac boats out to a small island in Tongass National Forest. And we did see whales and dolphins on our way. But the other couple, they just did a get your guide, do it yourself kind of like stop in Ketchikan. And they met their guide and went to this like wildlife area. And right off the bat, they get out of the van and there was a family of bears, a mother and 2 cubs, frolicking next to the water. And they were fighting the eagles for fish. And
wow.
We were all so jealous. I made him play that video for me on his cell phone like over and over. So wow. He was the lucky one.
So you've got to have seen a lot of bald eagles. That's the main eagle there, right?
We did. Yeah, the eagles were incredible. And another sighting I had was right off of my veranda. We had veranda cabins. When you go on Holland America, I would say spring for having a balcony. There's nothing like it. Yeah. All day long, when we were in the Glacier Bays, we were in 2. One was called the College Fjords. That was the next day. And the captain of the ship will turn the boat 360 degrees everyone gets a view of the glacier. And we just sat there on our veranda with a glass of wine, just taking pictures and watching this scene unfold in front of our
Oh
eyes.
my gosh, that's amazing. I can imagine, like to me, I think I would want the balcony because I want to sit there with my coffee, my wine,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is, and
yeah,
just have this view. And you're not driving, you can take photos, you can
yeah.
film, you can just soak it in and maybe see a whale. Did you see otters?
Yes, that was where I was going with this, and I lost my train of thought. So I was on my veranda and I looked down, and there was the most adorable otters. Well, we were on deck 5. I'm sorry, 10. So you know that's quite high. But I
Ooh.
had my zoom camera and I zoomed in, and they were just frolicking around the boat. They float on their back with their little paws, hands like this. And if they have a baby, it's sitting right on their stomach. So I got the most adorable, and I have it in the article that I wrote for you.
To talk about otters because they're just so like, and that's what I love about California coast. Like when you go up by Monterey and that area, you can see them as
Yeah.
well. But it's like they're so cute, sea otters, river otters. Just give me the otters. I want the otters.
Oh,
So yeah.
we saw seals floating on ice floes
Oh yeah.
off of the glaciers, and sea lions as well, floating around just hanging out on top of like a piece of the glacier that fell off.
Wow.
But they are far away. Like, when you're that high up in the water, it helps always bring binoculars. When you go on a sailing, I forgot my binoculars, but that's how you see them. It's hard to see them with your eye unless you're incredibly lucky, up close.
That's a good tip. Now, because you went, in June, July, right?
Yeah.
And so summer, yeah, June, and weather is interesting in Alaska. So would you I mean, you think summer, you could be in Arizona, right? You're in Texas. So, June is, a little toasty. And so then you get on the plane and you think it's so hot. And that's always a thing that deceives us, is that we always think where we're going. I don't care how many pictures and warnings and people say, wear layers, bring jackets. You just don't feel like you need them. And then you get there and you go, dang it, I'm cold. So does that happen in Alaska? Like, would you say you need to bring those jackets and things?
Just like you said, I had a merino wool long sleeve t-shirt, and then I had a puffer vest, and then I had my puffer coat, and then I had my waterproof shell. And
She
then
was perfect.
yeah, I would look like the Michelin Man by the time I was done. But you need to be prepared. You just are never know how it's going to be.
Especially when you get off the ship, right? And then you're exploring and touring and doing that. So you did these different excursions on the ship. Did they give you, because I know the cruise ships do so well at doing different activities, especially when you're at sea. Did they have any kind of programs that taught you a bit about the area?
Oh, yeah, you bet. That's what Holland America is so good at. They have a wonderful, it's called the World Stage, in the bow of the ship, a beautiful amphitheater for seating. And we would have every day or every other day BBC films. And the native Alaskan person came to speak with us about his culture. And the oceanographers would come on board, and the scientists. We would have talks about whales in particular, and then they'd break it down about Alaskan Native American culture and wildlife and eagles. It was incredible. If for nothing else, you learned so much on this cruise.
I think you kind of went full circle, on this trip, because you were in Mexico not so long ago, right? And got to go in and see the whales there. And they do travel between, Cabo and all the way up back to Alaska. So did you kind of feel like you were understanding their journey of movement?
Well, yes. But when I was in Cabo, Baja California Sur, it was so exciting because I got to see blue whales, the largest mammal on Earth. It's incredible. Well, here you see orcas and humpbacks, and they have different behaviors. They eat different things. So they sing songs that are incredibly complicated, and just learning their language is a whole thing. That's what's wonderful about whales. There's so much to learn, and they all are not the same.
So this was like a nature trip.
Yeah,
for you. Definitely. So this should be on our Nature Connection show, y'all, too. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So this is a way for people to experience it. But I love that you're getting the education. So you're not just looking and go, oh, look at that. That's cute. So you're getting this information so you understand what they're doing, how their behavior, and that's an amazing thing. So now Glacier National Park, that's a thing for us to go to.
Oh my gosh. It
Tell
was
us.
so incredible. Glacier Bay National Park, you come into it as the ship does. And it's amazing because they have like 7 glaciers. Some are most are receding. One actually is still growing all around you. And it's just an incredible sight. And you see on my picture, what was wonderful is on this day, we were in Glacier National Park, and the oceanographer photographers that live on the ship, they got down in one of those little orange boats, and they were floating around at the water level, and they got this picture on the day that we were there. So you can't see me, but I was way up there in the front.
No,
It was
yeah.
incredible.
Oh my, yeah. I want to go. And then seeing the glaciers, did they talk about climate change and the melting of glaciers while you were on there?
Yes, and we also, one of the other wonderful things that on the day with Glacier National Park, we actually had park rangers that boarded our ship and gave lectures about the glacier. And then as we were there, she would it would just be ongoing. She would just talk, off the top of her head about, we saw the glacier calving, when pieces of it fall into the water and you hear the pop and boom. And she'll tell us, she said, oh, look there to the left about 2:00. It just fell. There's going to be another one. I just know it. And so we're all like on the edge of the bow, just waiting.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So you're getting that education. It's a whole different form of park ranger programs. Normally they're around a campfire, right?
Yeah.
So this is a little different. So that's cool to get that experience. But to see that, I've had some travel advisors been on the show tell us, hey, don't put off Alaska. It's changing. The landscape is changing. And this is something you want to take and even bring your kids and grandkids. Would you say this would be a way for families to experience this?
Oh, yeah. We had lots of multi-generational families. You would see them with their little ones getting off to do the port excursions. It's fun just being on the ship because they have this wonderful area at the bow called the Crow's Nest. And it's just a comfortable place to spread out. There's a coffee shop up there. There's all these puzzles and games and tables where you can sit there with your family, look out the windows, but play checkers while you're at it, or Monopoly, or whatever you want to do.
And not be in the elements.
So that was really fun. But even if you just love cruising, do Alaska, but there's everything that there are on other cruise boats. We took a mixology class and we learned how to make regional cocktails with the names about the glacier names. And that was lots of fun.
Yeah, I'm in.
There was an origami class there in the Crow's Nest in a room off to the side, and I would see them. They were all concentrating with their paper, trying to make cranes and all kinds of things.
Did you go and tell them about your experience in Japan recently?
No, I didn't want to show off. I didn't want to say,
Oh,
I
come
could
on
make a crane. Let me show you how.
Yeah. But that's, I'm just looking at your experiences over the last year. It's pretty epic, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had a very big year, and it's only June.
Oh, yeah. What's next? Oh, yeah. We should ask that.
Well, yes, I have a what's next.
You do?
Yeah. I'm going to Quebec City in Canada.
Oh, now you're gonna
just
love
in
it.
3 weeks from now. But talking about Alaska, go in June or July or August in the summer months. You never know the weather that you're going to get, but we were incredibly lucky. One of my colleagues that Rose, she said that in Glacier Bay, she's never had a clear day. It's always been rainy or windy or cloudy. And look at the skies that we had.
Yeah, blue skies. You
And
never know.
You never know. There's many, many restaurants on board. You can get grab and go. You can make an evening of it if you have there's a specialty restaurant if you have a birthday celebration. It's just fun.
Is it all included when you book this? Is this are the meals included? How does that part work?
There are, in my article, I'll have a link. There's packages. So if you want to drink alcoholic beverages, you can buy a package that has so many drinks a day and specialty.
Don't tell the doctor.
No. You have to purchase your port excursions. And there's a place on the site where you go through it and you pick the ones you want, and there's a price. They're not inexpensive, but they're really good, and they can guarantee that you will make it back to the ship, just in case someone's running late. But then, as I said, my colleague, he just went to Get Your Guide that was much less expensive and went on this little day trip, and he saw bears.
I like that you have that flexibility. What was it like for you going into the little villages? Because that to me looks like fun too. I feel like I need to go to a saloon in one of those. Maybe it's
Oh.
the northern exposure fan of me.
Well, in Skagway is the port where that's where the White Pass Railway is. That was the rail that's called the entry to the Yukon. That's where all the gold miners went to
Oh,
try to get up to the gold mining fields. And so they
okay.
have this railway called the White Pass Railway, and that is the thing to do in Skagway. It is so much fun. You take this little railway all the way up. I got great pictures. But then coming back that day, we on our same port excursion we chose that offered us the railway, we got to go to a salmon bake, and it was kind of like a show where it was a mining camp, and they had these college kids that kind of put on a show for us what it was like being in the mining camps, and the girls were in like, I don't know, scanty dresses like they were dance hall girls. And then we had fresh salmon right on the grill. But then we went into town in Skagway. That is where the saloon is. It's called the Red Onion Saloon. And that is actually the building. It was there in the early days, and they had like thousands of men and only some women. You can imagine that was a wild place. And
Yeah, I
so,
don't know if you'd want to be, I mean, people would
yeah,
think that you would want to, but I don't think you'd want
yeah.
to.
So we went into this Red Onion Saloon that was part bordello and part bar, and we learned what life was like for the miners and for the women in those days. And it wasn't an easy life for either one
Mm-mm.
of them.
No, no. Alaska's brutal. I mean, it's extreme beauty, but extreme temperature, extreme everything. I mean, even, the thought of being in the dark for 6 months and the light for 6 months, that's pretty intense for our bodies, right? But then you get to see the northern lights at times too. So that would be epic to
Yeah.
experience. But you didn't get to see that yet back.
No, there were no, yeah, have to go back. You always have to
Yeah.
have a reason to go back.
Yeah, I think so. What shopping in these towns has to be cool too, because that's something different than what you would normally see.
What is wonderful about Alaska is sometimes you can imagine you're on a cruise and you have to tender out into the water and then take a little boat. You're not close to town. Well, our ship would go right in town. You'd get off and you would be there. And so you want to search for local souvenirs to take home, like salmon. You can buy it, salmon jerky. You can buy it
Wow.
in little packages already made, or you can have fresh salmon and fresh fish as you're shopping through town.
So that's a big deal, the salmon.
Yeah.
Cool. And you can always ship it too, if you.
Yes. Dave went on one of his excursions was a salmon fishing excursion. He did that in Juneau. And do you know what? He did not catch a salmon, which we learned it's not so easy to do. And it was a little early in the season. But on Holland America, it's one of the few ships where if you did catch a salmon, you could actually bring it back and they will prepare it for you on the ship while you're
Wow,
sailing.
that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Like
or you get to like freeze it and take it home with you.
that's really cool of them. But at least he got to understand it, because what I've understood is Alaska fishing is completely different than to fishing anywhere else in our country. It's
Yes.
different because of the way the water levels are,
And it's
under that.
controlled. He had to have a fishing license, of course, but then you had to go on the excursion had to be on a day when you were allowed to fish for salmon, and one person couldn't catch more than, I think, one or three. I can't even imagine three, but that was fun for him. And that was the day in Juneau where I did my own thing. They have the Roberts tramway right in Juneau. You walk out of the ship and you're right there in the middle of town. And the tramway goes up to Mount Roberts, and you get to hike up there and look at these wonderful vistas. And there was a tinglet that was carving a totem while I was there. And so I had a good time chatting him up and might be writing about him a little later. And then I went to Mendenhall Glacier. You've heard about that?
Yes,
This
that's
is Juneau.
epic.
Well, Juneau is one of the most amazing places. It is not, you cannot get to it any way except by boat or plane. That's the only way you get to Juneau, and that is the capital of Alaska. So I took a trolley out to the Mendenhall Glacier, and it's a beautiful sight. I'll have pictures of that in my article as well, and hiked and went to this Nugget Falls waterfall, and that was a really wonderful low-key kind of port stop.
Very nice. Wow. So you did a little bit of everything. Here you nice food on the ship or go in town and learn and, salmon bake. So you had this whole culinary experience. And then at the same time, you can go hiking, exploring the towns, and then wildlife watching. So this is, fishing, a little bit of everything. So was there anything that you want to go back for other than the Northern Lights?
Yes, I didn't. One of my other friends that I met on the ship did whale watching. And I'll talk about this next month, but our ship ended in Whittier. Then we went to Anchorage and then on to Seward, where I thought I would see a lot of whales. And we did, but that's why I didn't do whale watching from the ship, which you had several different, one you could have taken a flight out up to a glacier and went dog sledding. That was one. Another was going whale watching. So there's so many things that I did not get to do that I'd like to go back for.
It's going to be hard when you get these lists of what you can do, right?
Yes, it is very hard. You only have 3 days that you can pick a port stop, and there's so many to choose from. So that is hard.
Man, so everyone, this is epic. So I've got the article link in the episode notes for everyone. It's on nationalparktraveling.com. So bring layers, right? We want that.
Yes.
So bring layers. Anything else people should be pack or make sure that they bring?
Layers. I might bring binoculars. It's really great to have them to get the good view of the wildlife, a good camera, because, your cell phone only goes so far. And it's just so much fun. I really say to everyone, get to Alaska. This is a trip you won't regret. You'll have good memories. It is just a wild, natural place. Like you go out on the bow and you just breathe in that air and it feels so fresh. And we got to a piece of glacier ice and it's so clear. It's just, you have experiences you don't have anywhere else that you will always remember.
And you've been all over the world, going to Alaska, which is part of the America, as we look at America 250, which is a big deal. I mean, we're turning 250 years old, and Alaska, came in and said, hey, I'm here, I'm part of this now. And, it's something really proud to have as part of our country. I
hope everyone gets to Alaska, and Holland America is a great cruise line to go on.
You flew into Vancouver, America, or
it was called the Northbound Glacier Cruise, and we went to Vancouver, and then it was one way north to Alaska, and then we got to see the Juneau, Ketchikan, and Skagway that a lot of cruises do, but then we also got the experience of the 2 days of the glaciers, where we stayed on board and just had this fabulous glacier experience. That was very unique.
Very cool. Very cool. Everyone, thank you so much, Sharon. We can't wait for next month. We'll be talking further, and I want to go see whales and otters and bald eagles.
You get there?
We will. Okay. I always put yet. Haven't been there yet, Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wander the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKKurtz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels.